Good morning to the audience. Growth through hierarchy today. We're going to talk about what does that mean? This is thinking about management and thinking about leadership. I'm very deliberate in the pause there. There is a difference between management and leadership. This is the journey from execution to strategy and strategic. And we're going to use some tools here where we'll take the inspiration from Harrison Assessments, which we've talked to the audience about already. This is our talent analytics tool.
Yeah, and just to add on, Lindsay, on the Harrison Assessments, there's huge research being put in and work by psychologists and research into what actually does make good managers and leaders and the different elements and different levels of the hierarchy. So there's good research behind it. Yeah.
And that's why it would be fools not to use it, and it's great inspiration. So just to get us moving today then, we use a term called clouds and dirt. I picked it up from Gary Vaynerchuk. Clouds and dirt. It resonated with me. This is where we either think we're operating in the clouds or we're in the dirt. Okay, the macro and the micro. But in reality, we're operating somewhere in the middle. Okay. And we've got to define who's operating at which level. And this is sometimes the confusion that we get around what is management and what is leadership. The clouds can be seen as this is the mission and the strategy and the innovation, and everybody gets excited by that. We should be doing that every day. And then the dirt piece, which is really getting down to the micro level and making some things happen, it doesn't seem as attractive. But at the end of the day, it's getting down at that micro level that makes stuff happen. This is what makes businesses tick. And yeah, you need a leadership strategy, and you need vision, and you need innovation. However, once you've got that, you need to make this work. So we're really down into the lower levels, and that's why I said the dirt or the micro. But in reality, I think it's this grey area. How do we get from the dirt to the clouds or the clouds to the dirt?
Yeah.
So we're going to talk around that today.
It's not meaning the managers of the dirt.
No, not at all, no. Lifeblood of an organisation.
Absolutely.
We'll come to it. It's the Power 95.
Yeah.
These are the influencers in the business.
Yeah.
And if they're not sure where they're sitting in that we call the hierarchy, and what skills they need there, I think there can be some confusion.
Yeah, so one of the most critical roles is the frontline managers. As you said, we'll come onto that with the Power 95.
Yeah. So there is confusion between management and leadership. I'm not saying in all cases, but from personal experience, having been through the hierarchy of very junior management to senior management, and you then find yourself on a leadership team. And what does that really mean? And do I still need to manage something, or am I leading something? So the personal experience that I felt going through the different phases of management and then leadership, you're not really clear in your own mind what it is you're expected to do, what knowledge, what skills and behaviours you need for those various levels of change. From management, there's different levels of management, and then you start getting into more leadership positions. But is it just pure leadership, or is there still management sitting in there?
Well, most people, when they jump onto the ladder of management or whatever it is, they're not developed in the management role, never mind the leadership role. So some people, if they move quickly, they miss the whole thing out.
Yeah.
They're expected to lead and they haven't even done the management competency bit.
Yeah. And I've felt that. And then it's a case of hopefully the organisation gives you some training and development to try and bridge the gaps, or you find your way to do that. Yeah. So there's got to be an easier way. And as consultants as we are, we're always looking to take the complex and try and make it a little bit easier for our simple minds, but also to make it easier to communicate to a wider audience. Yeah. So we also listen to lots of feedback. We're big on social media. We look at what's being fed back there, and we can see this confusion between management and leadership. And obviously we have clients when we're talking to them about management and leadership, and who's a manager, who's a leader, who's in the clouds, who's in the dirt, where's the macro, where's the micro, who's doing what. So there's still lots of confusion there, and what we want to do is try and open that up today and make it a bit more clear. Because we know that if we're experiencing this and we've got some confusion, I'm sure there's plenty of people out in the audience who may be experiencing this as well, okay, and struggling with this management and leadership.
Well, we do. We
concept.
see it, and as you said, we had the confusion a while ago when we were trying to put a program together to develop managers and leaders. It was really trying to get clarity around what we were really talking about, who we're actually targeting with the management, and who we're talking about with the leadership and the competencies, etc., within each category. So we had the confusion. So I think most people in our experience have similar conversations around what is management and what is leadership.
Yeah. Okay, so the video today then we'll talk around a thing called growth through hierarchy. This is hopefully gives you a sense of that. It's like a ladder. It's a hierarchy, but you can grow through that as well. So you've got some potential for growth and some potential for development as well. Okay, so it should open up, but like a succession planning for supervisors, for line managers, for managers and leaders. We can see the knowledge, the skills, and the behaviours needed for the various phases of management and leadership.
Yeah, it can be useful as well for aspiring managers or aspiring leaders, so they can sort of see that hierarchy and think of the things where their strengths are now, but also where they might need developed to jump onto that ladder.
And a way to use this in a very simplistic way is to, even just for yourself, is to have a look at the growth through hierarchy, which we'll be showing on the screen right now. And where do you think you might have a bit of a block? Just as a simple set of questions. And as you can see at the bottom of this growth through hierarchy, we have the 4 elements of emotional intelligence. We talked about that in that last video. It underpins talent management strategies. It underpins everything that we do. We need to be good at emotional intelligence. We need to develop emotional intelligence. So we have the 4 elements there. Do you think you've got an issue anywhere around those 4 elements, or anything else in the growth through hierarchy?
Yeah, and we've put it there, just to add it, we've put it there as the foundation, because you need good emotional intelligence or good EQ, whether you're a manager or a leader, because it's about managing your own emotions and influencing your own emotions, but also the emotions of others. So manager or leader needs good EQ, really.
And you hear it time and time again now, but not from us. We'll just reword things that people have said at times. But some of the big influencers out there, when they talk about hiring, what do they hire for? Emotional intelligence. So they're building a scheme to say we're looking for emotionally intelligent managers and leaders. So you will, if you're moving around in the job market, be bumping up against some form of emotional intelligence questionnaire, interview, because people realise that this is the foundation, and it means a lot to organisations. But good emotional intelligence, you can learn the knowledge and the skills. A bit more difficult learning the right behaviours to be emotionally intelligent.
Yeah.
So again, this is it's a hierarchy, as you can see now. Some of our clients call it the rocket. You can call it what you want, but you can see the shape of it. There's 2 triangles there, and the base is the emotional intelligence. There's 2 triangles, one where we've got 5 elements, and those 5 elements we're calling management. This is doing things right. This is straight from Peter Drucker. Anybody who's into management and leadership, you'll have come across Peter Drucker at some stage, and his term, management is doing things right. And this book here actually is called The Effective Executive, okay? And that executive means executing, getting things done, but making sure you're doing those things right. That's management. And then the leadership element is doing the right things. A lovely little subtlety, play on words, but it really does sort of capture the imagination as well. Leaders, it's doing the right things, it's choosing the right things to be done on a long-term basis. That's where you become strategic. There's no point choosing 3 different things every week. It's what are 3, 4, 5, 6. We've talked about them before, strategic priorities. These are the things we're going to do. We're going to do them well. And that then cascades through the management hierarchy. And leaders will be a bit more strategic.
Yeah, and as you've said, it's on the background there, you'll see that on the screen, but just some of the key things in there is the strategic thinking, leading people, innovation, impact, influence, and achievement orientation. So very much the leadership, doing the right things, and we're going to cover each element in more detail in future videos. So they're the leadership modules, management modules, as you'll see, starting from the bottom. We've mentioned EQ, but then it's about communication, energizing people, learning agility, that one in particular, because if you're going to develop yourself through the hierarchy, then you need good learning agility.
And again, we talked about that in one of our videos,
Yeah.
high potentials and agile learning. Yeah, it's a necessary attribute in today's world. Google's your mother. If you need to find out something, you go straight to Google. You haven't got to wait for a formalised training course. Yeah, you can find out anything or most things from Google or YouTube. There's somebody been there before and they're showing you how to do these things. So agile learning is absolutely critical.
And it's a good point, because when we measure EQ, when we look at EQ, a key element of that is the motivation, the self-motivation. Have you got the motivation to actually, and the desire to develop yourself and self-improve? So there's some of the key things that we look for as you move through the hierarchy. And then the other two for the management levels, as you'll see, are problem solving and resilience and perseverance. So again, we'll cover each module in more detail in some of the future videos.
Yeah, okay. So really there's three things to consider now. This is some advice from us, is when you're looking at management and leadership and this growth through hierarchy, if we take the helicopter view of what we've got there now, the foundation is emotional intelligence. EQ is the foundation. We move into the management, knowledge, skills and behaviours, which is the bottom triangle. And then we're moving into leadership competencies, knowledge, skills and behaviours, up the higher level of the triangle. So there's three things. Emotional intelligence is the management, which is doing things right, and that's execution. And then there's the leadership, which is doing the right things. And this is being more strategic. So those three things to take some advice on.
Yeah, and just some things to consider as well, some takeaways if you like. The first thing you need to do is consider, we've spoke about it before, but when we talk about the power of 95, so who are the 5% of your organisation who's going to impact the other 95%?
Well, it's the 5% who sit on this triangle.
Absolutely, yeah. So it's the 5%, and they'll be managers or they'll be leaders. You might have 4% of your managers, 1% of your leaders, or whatever. But you need to identify and explore the power of 95 in your organisation.
Yeah.
So who's going to be responsible for the execution and who's going to be responsible for the strategic? And of course, there will be crossover within that, but you can start exploring who those key influencers are and the power of 95, and then decide who sits where on the hierarchy and who needs what type of development.
Yeah.
So if it's management, they need management type development in those competencies. But if you want people to move into the orange modules there that we've got for the leadership, it's a different set of behaviours, a different set of competencies needed for those modules.
So yeah, this growth through hierarchy should give some inspiration as to, if you're a little bit stuck at the moment, then okay, we'll have a look at the hierarchy, or anywhere in the hierarchy. Where could you have that barrier? Where could you have that roadblock at the moment, as a means to try and think about some skills that you're going to need, or some behaviours you're going to need to try and move you through the growth through hierarchy. And just to bring in the influence of Harrison Assessments on this, it's been mentioned by Trevor, but this is heavily influenced by Harrison Assessments and their leadership competencies, and we're bringing us to a model that suits our way of communicating and the way we like to engage with our clients. But the key thing is, if you've been following us on Talent Analytics, we can measure each and every one of these competencies.
Yeah, and really it's a framework. It's a framework to develop your managers and your leaders, and really going right back to the start, it's trying to take you from the dirt to the clouds, and it's a framework within that. And we can measure each competency.
Okay, excellent. So yeah, just leave with the last three things. We said the power of 95. These are your influences 5% of people in the organisation will sit on this triangle, in this rocket. They will be the power of 95. There'll be some people who are going to execute, and that's what they do on a routine basis. Others will get involved in the strategizing and the strategic elements, but still they'll have a lot of execution to do as well, a lot of management still to do. These are your key influences.
Yeah, and just to add as well, it's the success of your business largely is going to be down to your key influencers, the managers and the leaders of the business. They're impacting everybody on a daily basis, so the success is largely going to be down to them. And we've spoke again in previous videos about 70% of the variance in engagement is down to the relationship with managers.
Yeah.
So it's a key element to focus on managers. Who are your managers? Who are your leaders? Because the impact that they can have in terms of the success is huge.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, well, thank you very much.
Thank you. Cheers.